Once upon a time, there was a people who possessed a considerable knowledge, a civilization whose messages have been handed over to us through time, a people whose prophecies have impressively started to come true. The Mayas. The eternal charm of mystery encloses the deep knowledge of this ancient civilization, whose memory has been lost in the mists of time. The Mayan calendar is known and studied by dozens of researchers. In fact, many believe that it holds a prophetic message. However, its decoding is not yet complete. The Mayas were convinced that time is cyclic. Every 5,125 years, an era would end, simultaneously opening a new one. In South England, for a few decades, an incredible phenomenon has been taking place, fascinating and unsettling at the same time: the crop circles. Moreover, during the last few years, the mystery has become even more intriguing. On the crop fields, incredible Mayan figures started to appear. Is it possible that an incredible connection is concealed between the Mayan prophecies and the crop circles? Who or what could draw these pictograms with elements that join together past, present, and future? During the night of the 6th and 7th of July 2007, a researcher named Winston Keach placed a series of cameras on the hill above the East Field near Silbury Hill, an area in the south of England which has always been popular for the crop circle phenomenon. Other researchers joined Mr. Keach.
And at about 1:30 a.m. we went along to Knapp Hill. Arriving there, we met up with the cameraman that I'd met earlier in the day in the cafe, and he had a set of cameras with him on top of the hill, and he explained to me that he had some more cameras set up in his vehicle which he'd pulled through and parked on the hill overlooking Eastfield as well. When I got there, he told me that the two cameras that were in the car were infrared and visible light capabilities and very sensitive. Also, the cameras he had were on the hill with him was a still camera which had a long exposure, an image enhancing device, and also another very light sensitive camera. He showed us a scan of the field with the image enhancer, and we could see clearly at that time, about 1:35, that there were no formations in the field of Eastfield or the surrounding fields next to them. And then just after 3, there was a big white flash of light that completely encompassed the landscape. That reminded Wynne that he needed to go down to his vehicle and change the tapes over. So he went down to the vehicle, changed the tapes and came back. And then just as some light creeped in, just as some clouds must have moved away, there was a very imperceptible shadow that we could see on Eastfield. So I asked Wynne to look through his camera on the hill. He opened the viewfinder and looked through it and then said to us, "You better get up and look at this." And it was at that point, which was about 3:45 in the morning, that we discovered there was a very significant formation in Eastfield. On later analysis of the footage that was taken in the car, there were two cameras running constantly all night from about 11 o'clock until 5 o'clock. So it completely covers the field. If any light would have been in that field, it would have been detected. And we've got cars and vehicles driving past at various times that are all logged, and the times of them are logged. So we know that the tapes are running for that period of time. There's about 16 hours of footage in total. Nobody could have been doing this formation. If there would have been 1/200th of a candle light of light in that field, these cameras would have picked it up, and plus I feel that we would have seen it from the hill as well, because we were constantly maintaining an observation down on Eastfield. Quite apart from the logistical aspect of making the formation like this, the complexity, the size of the formation, the fact that the circles are ovals so that they look circular from the air.
However, there is more to be surprised about. When they watched the recorded tapes, Gary King and the others realized that the cameras had caught the beam of light that reminded Wynne to change the tape.
When we analysed those tapes, we found that the first visible signs of the formation through the lenses of those cameras was actually at 3:20 a.m. and that the light flash that was picked up on the end of the first tape registered for 3.5 milliseconds as an EM pulse, which is very similar to a bolt of lightning. And it was 7 minutes after that, at 3:20, that first signs of the formation were picked up by the cameras in the car. But we again didn't see them until about 20 minutes after that. As far as I know, this is the only time that anything like this, where continuous footage, continuous tapes have been running all night and captured the field and eliminated any evidence of anybody being in there with any laser alignment measurement devices or lights of any kind. As far as I know, this is the best footage and most comprehensive footage available of when a crop circle takes.
A crop circle appeared in the space of one night. An incredible event caught by Winston Keach's cameras and witnessed by Gary King and Paula. Finally, this is the definite proof that crop circles have an alien origin. What happened in Eastfield on July the 7th, 2007 is bound to be remembered as one of the most significant events since the beginning of the phenomenon in the 70s. Too often, the most spectacular formations have appeared over one single night, maybe even in bad weather, such as the famous one of Milk Hill in 2001. The greatest pictogram ever appeared until then, consisting of 409 circles occupying an area of 90,000 square meters. Such events give even more credit to the theory of the non-human origin of the crop circles. And the appearance of Mayan figures and symbols in wheat fields would suggest that the mysterious architects of the crop circles want to draw our attention to current events and towards the end of this era. Actually, the use of the term prophecy regarding Mayan people is not quite correct. The Mayas, in fact, had identified regular cycles of time occurring in the universe. On the basis of this knowledge, they were able to predict centuries in advance astronomical events of great importance, which would affect the whole of mankind. To calculate these cycles, the Mayas had developed a complex system of calendars that they used in order to synchronize their existence with the flow of events and of cosmic energies. The shorter cycle that they calculated was 52 years long and was obtained through the interaction of two different calendars: the sacred calendar, called the Zolkin, and the civil one, called Harb. The Zolkin was formed by 13 months of 20 days each, for a total of 260 days, corresponding to the average length of gestation of a human being. The Harb calendar was made up of 18 months of 20 days each, for a total of 360 days. In order to obtain the solar year 365 days long, there was an addition of a 5-day month called Uabe. According to their studies, our solar system undergoes a circular motion toward and away from the center of the galaxy, the Milky Way, which lasts 25,625 years. The Mayas called this cycle Galactic Day and subdivided it into 5 subcycles of 5,125 years each, which they considered as individual eras and were called suns. At the end of each sun, they presumed that a strong energy flow would be generated from the center of the galaxy, causing a strong and unusual solar activity associated with global catastrophes. In fact, in 1997, the SOHO spacecraft detected an energy flow from the center of the galaxy, and a few years later, the Sun entered a very strong activity cycle. This gave scientific support to what had been anticipated by the Mayas. Also, the Mayan forecast regarding the energy coming from the center of the galaxy appeared in a crop circle on July the 13th, 1996 in West Kennet. The figure shows the Mayan symbol Hunab Ku, which represents the galactic center. You can clearly see rays coming out of its perimeter. Next to Hunab Ku, there are the crescent moon and a comet. How is this connection possible between the Mayan prophecies and the crop circles? The Mayas remembered that already 4 suns, namely 4 cycles of 5,125 years each, had elapsed since the beginning of the Great Cycle or Galactic Day. Thus, according to their calculations, we are now at the end of the era of the 5th sun, which began on August the 13th, 3114 BC and will end on December the 21st, 2012. During this period, the Mayas predicted new upheavals on our planet and a great spiritual renewal in humans. The survivors would have started a new golden age. a change that, according to some researchers, has already begun. On the 13th of August 2000, near the Chilbolton Military Radio Telescope, appeared a beautiful crop circle that could not be deciphered. Its proximity to an installation supervised 24 hours a day makes it difficult, if not impossible, to think about a human origin. Its explanation arrived unexpectedly the year after. In fact, in the same field, on August 14th, 2001, a new pictogram appeared. This time, however, it was not the usual symbol. This is in fact a face with clear humanoid features, designed with the same technique used for the old black and white photos of newspapers. A set of points where the difference of width and distance between them creates the image. A technique never seen before in crop circles. By applying a graphic filter on the photo, more details become clear. Just 5 days later, on August the 19th, a few dozen meters away from the alien face, an even more shocking figure appeared. It seemed the reply to the binary code message transmitted by the Arecibo radio telescope in 1974. It was right in that year, in fact, that Frank Drake, scientist and director of Arecibo at the time, together with the famous astronomer Carl Sagan, tried to communicate with a group of stars identified as M13. It sent out a message of introduction of mankind to a hypothetical alien civilization, indicating data on our numerical system, on the basic atoms of terrestrial life, on the structure of human DNA, and of our solar system with the Earth's relative position. They also included data relative to the Arecibo radio telescope. According to calculations, the message should have taken 25,000 years to reach its destination, and the same again to receive a reply. A really long time, let alone the fact that no one could tell whether that group of stars really hosted a supposed alien civilization. These circumstances make even more startling the appearance of the Chilbolton pictogram. Is it possible that someone received our message and replied to it much earlier than expected?
We have the same numerical system with 0 and 1. Therefore, the answers are universal. The basic atoms of life are the same, but in their body there is also silicon. Then, where the chemistry of DNA is mentioned, we also notice the fact that all the components of our DNA are clearly identical to theirs. This shows that we come from the same universal principle. When they mention their genome, they tell us that they have 1,048,000 sequences more than us. This means that they are much more evolved than us, which is normal. Since they have been able to achieve such a development, to prepare a similar message, they ought to have a greater evolution. Then they provide other details, telling us that they live in 2 planets and 4 moons, namely in 6 different worlds. And finally, they refer to the instrument used to send out this message. Surprisingly, we found that the figure representing this device appeared 1 year before in the same place. Thus, they notified that in the same place they would have given a new message. The way in which these beings speak to us needs to be carefully interpreted.
The elements involved in the Chilbolton pictograms are astonishing. Is this really the reply of an alien civilization? Is it fake or real? The Mayan Dresden Code announces that, starting from the 1991 eclipse, it has begun a process that will lead humanity to the encounter with the Lords of the Stars. Are these events part of it? We could still carry on describing further data and symbols related to the knowledge and prophecies of the Mayas, which have appeared in the extraordinary English crop circles. Could the Mayas really predict future events? Do these warnings have a real foundation? Now, even scientists confirm that the Earth is a living entity, a complex organism. The message coming from the ancient Mayas and modern crop circles appears to be the same. A change of conscience is absolutely necessary as never before in human history. A message of warning and hope coming from a past whose importance is hardly being recognized. And this is what the creators of the pictograms did. Whether human or alien, they amplified the message coming from the cultures of the past, such as the Mayas, through a fascinating symbolism beautifully engraved on the wheat fields of England.